The RX 6800 series launch was an absolute disaster, but you might be able to buy NVIDIA cards and Ryzen processors soon. Let's talk about it. Before that, this video is brought to you by Polar Backup. Polar Backup is an affordable cloud storage-based backup solution that will help you protect your most critical data, which could save you a lot of headaches if your drives fail or get stolen. Polar Backup is also incredibly secure using zero-knowledge backups and 256 AES military-grade encryption to protect you from theft or ransomware. Some of the features include set and forget automatic backups, files can be stored forever, the ability to back up local, external, and network drives, desktop agents and web consoles, the ability to use your own AES 256 encryption password for maximum security, and file versioning. Polar Backup is a great tool for old photos, videos, files, and anything you want to keep as secure and safe as possible. And right now you can get 10 terabytes for the price of 5. When you buy a 5 terabyte lifetime plan, Polar Backup will give you another 5 terabyte plan free. If you're looking for a powerful and affordable solution for backing up all of your most precious data, be sure to click the link in the description below and give it a try. So when AMD originally launched their RX 6800 series graphics cards, like you, I was very disappointed to see that availability seemed to be just as bad, if not worse, than the RTX 3080 launch. However, after hearing Hardware Unboxed saying that they were hoping for more availability on the 25th when AIB cards would launch, as well as AMD's Senior Vice President of AMD Radeon, Scott Herkelman, state that GPUs would be replenished on AMD.com daily and that stock would dramatically be improved throughout December once AIBs start ramping, as well as saying that apparently they had anti-bot counters in place on their website. And in an interview with PC World, I thought for sure that our chances of being able to pick up a big Navi card would be greatly increased. But oh boy was I wrong, because the RX 6800 series AIB launch now takes the crown for being the absolute worst launch I have ever seen. Now look, what Scott Herkelman said about the availability increasing throughout December is probably true, and on top of that, NVIDIA cards as well as Ryzen 5000 series processors do seem to be coming in stock more and more all the time. However, I do want to touch on for a second here just how disastrous this RX 6800 series launch actually was, because not only was it bad for us consumers, but as well as AMD themselves, as they missed a major opportunity here. So starting off with the availability, not only did it seem like these cards were hard to find, it seemed like there was no stock whatsoever. And to prove my point, I'm going to bring you to a tweet that Paul from Not an Apple Fan made over on Twitter, which by the way, you should subscribe to his YouTube channel, and there will be links to all my sources in the description below. But he tweeted this, where apparently Memory Express stated in terms of the RX 6000 series, quote, "We will not have any AMD Radeon RX 6000 series graphics cards available for purchase in store or online on November 25th. All Radeon RX 6000 series graphics cards from our brand partners are currently delayed with no firm ETAs. We are not currently accepting any pre-orders/back orders, nor will they be added to the website until we receive more information regarding our shipments of Radeon RX 6000 series cards. Thank you for your patience and understanding." And you know, that's not the only place that I've seen this posted. It seemed like there were a couple different sites that claim that there wouldn't be any availability on the launch, which is something that I've absolutely never seen before and is frankly quite shocking. But if that isn't bad enough, that the availability was essentially non-existent, well, this makes it even worse. So Keith from WCCF Tech posted this on Twitter, which by the way, you should subscribe to him as well, where he took a screenshot of all the RX 6800 and 6800 XT cards over on Newegg.com, and the prices on these things are absolutely shocking. So if we take a look here, the first one, the ASRock Radeon RX 6800 Phantom, $680, that's $100 more than the MSRP. Another 6800 Challenger Pro, $660, so almost $100 again. We got an ASRock Radeon RX 6800 XT Tai Chi, which is $830. That's almost an entire $150 over the 6800 XT's $650 MSRP, so that's pretty shocking there. And then we got the worst of them all, the Asus ROG Strix Radeon RX 6800 XT liquid cooled version, and this is $900. I'm going to tell you right now, a liquid cooler does not cost $250. That is absolutely outrageous, and I cannot believe they're trying to ask that much money for it. I get it, it's really nice to have a liquid cooled card, but $900 $900, there's no way it's worth that. I mean, these cards do overclock pretty well, but I'm telling you, if you pick up a reference model and you do your best to overclock it, it's not going to perform that much worse than this $900 6800 XT from Asus. So please, whatever you do, do not buy one of these cards for like $800 or $900. It's absolutely not worth it at that price point. You shouldn't even be looking at these. It's just way, way, way too high over MSRP, and you should just sit there and wait and see if you can get lucky and try and get, you know, one of those reference cards for MSRP, because I got to be honest with you, yes, the thermal pad that they're using isn't ideal, but you know what? If you can get it for MSRP, that's absolutely the best deal, because, you know, they're actually a pretty good deal at their MSRP, but if you go too far beyond that, well, they start to look not so great versus the RTX 30 series anymore. And that brings me to my final point. You know, taking a look at the low availability plus the extremely high prices, this really marks another generation of AMD completely missing a huge opportunity. I mean, last generation they did it because they didn't even make a high-end card. All they had was the 5700 XT, which, you know, it's a pretty great card, but they left it wide open for NVIDIA to charge $1,200 for the 2080 Ti, and that was absolutely outrageous. And once again, here they are presented with an absolutely wide open goal, because not only are these NVIDIA cards drawing a lot of power and not quite as fast as some people were thinking, you know, they're very, very fast and they're very well priced, but unfortunately, they're just not quite as fast as some people were hoping. And on top of that, the availability of those cards, they're still really hard to find. I mean, an RTX 3080 specifically is extremely difficult to find, which left the goal wide open for AMD to get a bunch of sales with these awesome 6800 series cards, because they are awesome. They give you really great performance and the MSRP is pretty fair. But unfortunately, once again, they've missed out on a major opportunity by not having any stock. I mean, AMD didn't even need to have great cards. They could have literally given you cards that were worse performance than the RTX 30 series and done it for more money, but if they were in stock, they would have sold more cards. It's as simple as that. And they somehow bungled up even the most simple of things that they could have gotten right, which is, it's so frustrating, because there's a lot of people who use NVIDIA cards and they wouldn't ever use a Radeon card, and this time they were looking at Radeon cards because they just couldn't get an RTX 3080, and AMD lost out on the opportunity to get all those people to move over to AMD and move it from like a 20% market share to potentially, you know, more closer to 50-50, which would make a much more healthy market for us overall. And so instead of doing that, now all these people who were going to potentially get a Radeon card because they couldn't get a 3080 are now just going to look for 3080s again, because they're both hard to find. But you know, with all that ranting out of the way, there is some good news that I want to leave you with, and that's the availability of the RTX 30 series as well as the Ryzen processors. So yes, it's unfortunate that you probably won't be able to get an RX 6800 series card for at least a little while here. Hopefully stock does continue to improve throughout December, but I'm not entirely sure on that. Right now, I'm going to call it a paper launch, because it does seem kind of like a paper launch to me, and I normally don't say that, but guys, this looks bad. But even though that's bad, the good news is it looks like there's more and more stock coming in of the RTX 3070 as well as 3090. 3080 stock is still very difficult to come by, but you can get it from time to time. But, you know, just for example, as well as the Ryzen processors as well, the 5800X seems to be coming in stock pretty frequently, as well as the 5600X, but 5900X, 5950 XT are kind of difficult to get your hands on. But again, for example, I was able to get a 3070 just by, you know, following the RTX bot over on Twitter and having my phone on me. You just got to be pretty quick when you get notifications. You got to immediately try and go buy it, and you can't really be picky on what type you want. So that's the only thing you got to make a compromise on, but you can get it that way. I was also able to get a 5800X. My friend was able to get a 3070 as well as a 5800X. So those type of products do seem to be, you know, they're not easy to get, but they're getting more and more easy to get as time goes on. And if you're vigilant and you're subscribed to something like the RTX bot over on Twitter and you're watching and you're fast, you will probably get one pretty shortly. Hopefully, like if you look now and you start looking, you might get one within a week. So that's what I'd say is the good news. You know, looking forward here, it's not all doom and gloom. If you're waiting for a new graphics card or a new processor, you got to be a little bit more patient. You just got to have your phone on you and be ready to purchase pretty much at any time. And if you're willing to do that, I think you have a pretty good chance of getting something that you might want, but you might not be able to get the exact model that you want. But hey, that's just what I think. What do you think about the 6800 XT launch? Do you think it was a disaster, or do you think that it was fine? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. If you made it to the end of the video, be sure to drop a like. Every time you do so, NVIDIA and Intel drop prices. Also, if you want to see more, click here.